Hello to Devils fans all across the world. I am Drew, also known as Drew's Jersey Devils on social media, joined here today by...
I'm Owen. My social media is Kevin Ball Enthusiast. I used to be Miles Wood Enthusiast, but you know what happened to him, so yeah.
And today we are hosting episode 2 of the Friends of the Devils podcast. We will be covering the recent offseason transactions made by Tom Fitzgerald and his staff. So I guess to kick it off, we will cover the recent departures, starting off with formerly the most tenured Devil, Damon Severson.
Man, everyone hated on him. I mean, I loved him. He was top 4D. I thought the return was a little lackluster, but I also didn't want to sign him for 8 years at that cap hit.
Understandable. I think he definitely priced himself out of New Jersey. Would have been nice to see him get to stick around and hoist the cup with them. I feel like it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
The next couple of seasons, it's got to be happening soon. But he was recently traded for a third-round pick to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Again, seemed a little lower for what he could have been worth, but he was the 16th all-time in New Jersey Devils games played.
And maybe a little higher than some of us would think, but he's been around forever. I mean, we drafted him, and I think he's 28 right about now. So 10 years suiting up for us, and
Yep, we're a couple of Ohio boys, so we'll get to see him around in Columbus. That's generally where we get to catch the Devils. Unfortunately, we're far away from the Rock, and so catch them on the road as much as we can, usually Columbus and Detroit. But on to our next departure.
Dude, okay, Miles Wood. This one hurt for me. I mean, he was my favorite player probably about 2018, and everyone hated on him too. Just like Severson, but I was always on Twitter defending him, and I was always on Twitter being a Miles Wood stan. And he was a bottom six guy. I mean, he brought the energy. He was an energy guy, good locker room guy. He didn't score too much. He didn't know how to stop either. He always ran into the net. But I loved having him on the Devils. But his roster spot is probably meant for Holtz at this point.
Yeah, I was definitely a big fan of him in his time as a Devil. One of my favorite players to collect hockey card wise. I loved his energy every night. He was a little wrecking ball. Maybe didn't put the puck in the back of the net as much as some would hope, but you definitely can't say he did not bring it every single night.
Yeah, his effort level was always through the roof.
And so he signed as a free agent for quite a bit of term in Colorado. I was quite surprised, but I mean, he's got to get the bag while he can. I respect that, and he definitely wasn't getting that kind of term with New Jersey at this point in time, but I'll still always be a fan of Miles Wood and hope he has the best of hopefully what's probably going to be the rest of his career in Colorado. Yeah. We'll see if he bounces around anymore, but 6 more years, I think, there. Is that correct?
6 by 2.5.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it's a solid contract for a guy like him. So
never get mad at them for chasing the bag.
Oh, not at all. And then another departure that really hurt myself personally, Yegor Sharangovich. He's only been with the Devils for a few short seasons. Started off with the COVID-shortened season, but man, as soon as he got his first overtime game winner against Boston there, I was hooked. I was a fan ever since. He was by far my favorite player to collect hockey card-wise and racked up quite a bit of a collection over the last 2 seasons. So it's going to be a bummer to not see him on the Devils anymore. I don't think it'll fully sink in for me until the season starts and we see Yegor in a Flames jersey. But
boy's happy.
Yeah, he was actually part of a trade, pretty big trade. I think it was a solid addition for the Devils.
We'll get to that later.
Yep. But I mean, they picked up Tyler Toffoli in the trade. We'll cover Toffoli more later, but that's what we got for Yegor. So, and
Yegor in a third.
If that's what it had, if he had to leave, I'm happy with the return.
You know, the third we traded with Yegor was the one we got from Columbus, and Columbus got that pick from Calgary. So we gave Yegor and Calgary's own third back to them for Toffoli.
Not a bad deal. Just a little bit more of that Fitz magic.
Oh, yeah. And on the next departure, I wasn't too connected to him, but Tom Tatar, known as Tuna, 40-point guy. I mean, apparently he was a big party guy in the locker room, but I think with the additions of Toffoli and the re-signings that we have, I don't think he'll be too missed.
No, he's currently still an unrestricted free agent, has not signed with anybody else, so there is potential possibility that he ends up back in Jersey. I don't think that will be the case. I think Fitz will give the opportunity to someone like Clark or Foote or Holtz, potentially even Thompson, whoever really proves himself in training camp. I think there's going to be a few spots open with, Woody, Yegor, and potentially Tuna leaving. That's three pretty considerable forward spots.
Yeah.
Woody was pretty much on the fourth line, but that is a forward spot that has opened up. Could just be Lazar filling in that role, but
Tierney.
We shall see. Tierney as well. Another addition that we'll get to shortly.
Now we got Ryan Graves, another guy that everyone on Twitter hated. I don't know why. I wasn't too big of a fan of him, but I wasn't too opposed to him either. I definitely think
great shot blocker.
Oh yeah, he put his body on the line. And I definitely think that he won't be too missed either. I think Hughes or Nemec or Ball step in, take that spot. Eventually Casey. So.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of time. I enjoyed his time here. Ryan Graves fan page. It was fun to follow along with them. I'll still be following along with now he's in Pittsburgh, so it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Penguins.
Big deal for him too.
It
was not a deal I wanted to sign him for here. So I think he got around close to $4 million, but don't quote me on that.
Close to that. Next departure then. So goalie departure, someone who has been with the organization for quite a while, just never really seemed to reach that next level. Injuries really held him back, but Mackenzie Blackwood is now a part of the San Jose Sharks organization. I do not believe he has signed a contract with them yet, but no longer a Devil.
From what I've heard, they're not close to the contract. 2018-19 Blackwood was great. I thought he was going to be a starter. I thought he was a lock for Team Canada. I thought it was sky was the limit for him. But that hip really started getting to him, and then Ruff tried to play him with that hip still not 100%, and he just never got back to that form. We did end up getting a fifth for him, and I think we may have moved that fifth for someone else, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I honestly thought at one point Blackwood was going to be the future of New Jersey Devils goaltending. I thought that was his net to lose, and he just never really seemed to take back the reins ever when he came back from injury, and it's a tough go for him. I hope the best for him in San Jose, but obviously Fitzgerald and the staff were ready to pull the trigger on trading him and finally getting him out of there. I'm sure there's plenty of fans out there rejoicing at his departure. For me, it's still a little, I don't know. I'd like to, if he pans out well in San Jose, it'll be a little sour. Yeah, having to know that we gave that up, but you can't hold out on a what if.
No.
Got to go with your gut, and I think it was time for a change of scene for him and time for us to move on.
So players need sometimes a change of scenery.
Another change of scenery that we got is Jesper Boquist recently signed with the Boston Bruins. He was with the Devils for quite a few seasons as well.
Yeah, for what he signed with the Bruins, that I think it was a two-way $775K deal, but if we gave Bastian 1.4 and we just let Boquist walk, I don't necessarily get that, but I trust Fitz at this point, and I definitely think he didn't leave because of lack of talent. I think he left because we needed that roster spot.
Yeah, I think he had the talent to. Obviously he played in a lot of situations for us and was fairly effective. Never really put much in the back of the net, but for what we needed him for, he filled a roster spot and wasn't good enough to reach that top 6 potential. And we've got a solid top 9 now, and he really doesn't deserve to be on a fourth line either. So, I think I'm glad he's going to get an opportunity elsewhere. We'll see how that pans out for him, but it opens up space for our young guys who I think in the long run will be able to contribute more.
Yeah, those ELCs will come in handy down the line.
100%. Yeah, we still got Mercer on an ELC, and if we can get another diamond in the rough like that, he wasn't like he was a Jesper Bratt or 6th-round pick. He was still a first-round selection, 18th overall. But
better than
myself, I don't think I ever expected Mercer to be where he was at this early on in his career.
Oh, no. Now we're done with the departures. That's all that have left that are like major names. I'm sure there's guys in the AHL that dipped too, but we're on to the ads now. And starting with the first ad, it's Tyler Toffoli, the one we got for Yegor in a fifth. I loved this trade. This trade had me jumping up and down. I mean, 73-point guy, great on the power play, which is exactly what we need.
Mm-hmm.
This great on the he can play that bumper, and we can have Timo on the other bumper. It's 2 one-timers that'll just Fitz will let fly and fill the back of the net.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the power play improves, especially with the addition of Travis Green as an associate coach, and Toffoli has been a very proven player on the power play.
Oh, yeah.
And the Devils have obviously, even with all the talent that they have currently, they have a dire need to improve the power play.
Yes.
Something just hasn't clicked yet, so hopefully those 2 pickups will be enough to put us over the edge and finally start producing on the power play on a consistent basis.
Make me excited for a power play. I was honestly expecting more shorthanded goals than goals on the power play whenever we got one. So.
Oh, yeah, after a certain point in the season, I started getting worried whenever we get a power play.
Can we reject it?
Play 5-on-5, let Jack Hughes do his thing, but whenever the power play rolled around, it was not a sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
I was always filled with a little bit of doubt and worry, but hopefully we can get past that and see a new era of New Jersey Devils power plays.
On the next edition, Chris Tierney, center/left wing, cheap deal, 2-way. If he does end up playing in the AHL, then it's only $400K. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that is a little bit of McLeod insurance in case Hockey Canada decides to take McLeod away from us.
Potentially, yeah. It's always nice to have a little bit of proven depth that you know can fill in regardless. Whether you never know when somebody's going to go down for what, injuries included. So it's not a bad signing. It's not like we really risked anything by adding him. I think it's just a good insurance policy.
I do think with guys like Lazar and Tierney, I'm just hoping that Ruff doesn't let them playing get in the way of our young guys. That's my only worry.
No, and that is something that seems to be something he would do. He's been known to do stuff like that. I mean, Holtz sat on the bench for a good long bit last season before he ever got sent back down. So, yeah, if he's not going to play, I'd rather see him get some playing time in the AHL.
At least, yeah.
But I think this should be the year Holtz finally gets a crack at the roster.
Hopefully. I want Ruff to just... I mean, that kid, his longest stint in the NHL was, like, not even 10 games. I mean, you can't expect him to take that jump from the AHL to the NHL and just click right away. Not everyone does that. Some people do, some people don't.
No. Hughes took a couple seasons even, Jack.
And, like, I just don't see why Holtz shouldn't get a 20-game stint unless we're struggling. I doubt that's going to happen. But, like, as long as he's putting up, like, a third of a point per game, let him ride, let him marinate, let him cook.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would be cool to see it potentially if he can start off at like a third line role, and if our top 2 lines are producing at a high enough rate, then let him slowly ease into a scoring role, not need to be relied upon right off the bat for playoff or for power plays and such. And
I would like to put him on power play though.
Oh, eventually, and yes, I think that is the goal for him is to get some serious power play time because I think that's where he could really thrive.
Oh, yeah.
The 5-on-5, I mean, he's still got to work on his speed. The power play, you get to slow down a little bit, pick your shots a little bit better, and that's where, I mean, that's his bread and butter is his shot. So if he can pick up the rest of his game, hopefully he can stick around for the whole season and get some serious NHL time.
Yep. And the final addition that is like a major name, there's Eric Kallgren in them, but that's AHL signings. Colin Miller for a 5th-round pick. I mean, I like this ad. It's better than Brendan Smith.
Mm-hmm. Seems like another depth ad. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't expect him to be a every night player, but
Nemec
you never
insurance.
know. Mm-hmm.
If Nemec can't take that jump, I do expect Miller. I don't think Smith is going to get as many games as Miller. I hate Smith. God. More mistakes than anything else.
One bad penalty a game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he seems to be a tremendous locker room presence. I don't think he's a complete waste of a roster spot. He is older. I think this is the final year of his deal with the Devils, and he's seems to be on Ruff's good side, so I'm sure he'll get in there a good bit. But yeah, I would prefer to see Nemec and Luke Hughes take off and really solidify a role. And even if they're not ready, I mean, Kevin Ball, I'd like to get somebody younger in there, start developing with a team. A lot of our core we've got locked down for a good couple years here. So, I mean, getting to see everybody grow together, get some familiarity with the rest of the team, that'd be nice to see.
It's up to Ruff if he wants to get a quick cup now and not develop our young guys, or if he just wants to let them cook for the long run and see if we can win too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it really is just the beginning of our competition window, and I think this next season or two is going to be a big, I'm not sure what the word is,
statement.
Yeah, and it's going to set the foundation for the coming years, and this is really where we'll decide if we're going to be just a quick flash in the pan or a force to be reckoned with for the next decade or so.
Yeah, and Miller's good on the penalty kill too. I think our penalty kill was great, but always room for improvement.
Yep. And I mean, with losing Graves, he got some power or penalty kill time as well. So there's definitely going to be changes on all of our special teams units, I believe. But
that's what training camp's for.
Yep. And then lastly, we covered the departures and additions. There were a few, I think, honestly, our best moves of the offseason had nothing to do with the income and outgoing players. It was about who we retained. And Fitzgerald managed to keep Bratt and Meyer locked down for 8 more years each.
Not a ridiculous cap hit, too.
No, I mean, they're up there, rightfully so. They're solid players, I mean, tremendous players. They both bring something different to the table, but having them here for the next 8 years, being able to grow with the center core that we have, that is extremely exciting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Meyer, hopefully he gets cooking on the power play. I would like him to see at that bumper and not have Ruff put him in the middle where he has not played ever. I don't know why he does that. He does stuff like that sometimes. But, yeah, Meyer, good sniper. He brings that body to our top 6. He brings that physicality and that feistiness. I love him. Sniper, checker. I love him. Great addition.
Yeah, it didn't do anything too spectacular with the Devils last season, but that's to be expected. A player on a new team, a new system. And the Devils, I feel like, are a tough system to just hop into. It's pretty quick and fast paced, and I think having a full year or full summer to know what the game plan is, get prepared for that, and then training camp with the team, that should do wonders for him.
Yeah, and I definitely think he's never been surrounded with this much talent. I mean, he was driving the play that people were feeding him the puck, but now playing with Jack, playing with Nico, playing with Bratt, I could go on and on, but he's definitely not played with his talent. I mean, best line he's played with is Logan Couture and Thomas Hertl, which isn't bad, but nowhere near a Hughes and Mercer, Hughes and Bratt line to play with.
And then I think wrapping this video up, we'll cover our last little bit of re-signings. The Super Buddies, Michael McLeod and Nate Bastian. Fitz got those both done and announced in the same day.
Yep. Let him go to unrestricted free agency, which scared me for a little bit, but
yeah, that was interesting. I thought they were done for a second as a Devil, but it was just Fitz working some more magic, and he knew what he was up to. Wanted to sign him for a little bit cheaper, not risk either of them going to arbitration. And it's at this point, I've got full faith in Fitz. Let him work the behind the scenes magic, and we'll just let the on ice results talk for themselves.
McLeod's faceoffs are crucial, and when Bastian was injured for those 14 games, we fell apart, so I would like to keep him in the lineup.
And actually, one addition, or not addition, but retention that we forgot to mention, also pretty good on faceoffs, Eric Halla.
Good, half a point per game, exactly. Didn't miss a game, sturdy, good in the playoffs, good leader. I like it.
Yeah, it's a solid signing.
Yeah.
I don't see him getting much or any top 6 minutes, but Yeah, and again, if for whatever reason McLeod's not in the lineup next year, I think he can bounce around a little bit, and he can be that shut-down, face-off guy in our defensive zone.
PK.
I mean, McLeod so many times this past year be out there for a second or two for the draw. And as soon as we got possession, he's bolting off the ice. And having a face-off guy like that, I mean...
number 1 in the league.
Yeah, that helped a lot this past season. Yeah. And so everybody should be another year older. Should be, unless... some physics broke or something and they stayed the same age, but it's going to be a very exciting season for the Devils all around.
And Kevin Ball does not have a contract yet, but he will play for us even if he doesn't get anything signed with his qualifying offer, unless Fitz just lets him walk in January. So
yeah, I don't see that being the case. I mean, I don't know why he would just let him fizzle out and not get anything for him at the very least, but we shall see. And I guess the only thing we haven't covered, because really it was the one spot that was not tampered with very much,
the one we needed most. Goalies. Yeah, I think we are going to end up rolling with Vitek and Schmid, and I'm comfortable with that. But he did say something that he wants Schmid in the AHL. Why? That man won us a series. But I do see that's what's happening. But whatever.
Yeah, Schmid I would be fully comfortable with in an NHL backup role if I was a little bit more confident in Vanacek.
Yeah.
I haven't given up on Vanacek by the slightest.
He was all right.
Bit, but, it would be nice to have a goalie like Marty or someone. I mean, I know we're never going to get another goalie like Marty. It's just we were spoiled as Devils fans having the greatest goaltender of all time, but then it's having somebody that you can rely on every single night. And I think that does wonders for the players, knowing that even when they're slacking off, not feeling that great, that they're going to have a goalie that'll be able to bail them out more often than not.
Yeah. Everyone wants Hellebuck. No.
Yeah, personally, I'm against that. I would not support that move. Yeah, unless there was like 50% retention, I don't even know if at that point I would want it. Like, it'd be a tough deal to do, and I wouldn't want to give up anything too spectacular to make a 50% retention deal work. So, I would say at least for this season, ride it out. Let's see how the rest of the team is done, and if we're ready next season, then make a big push for a goalie.
Yeah. Trade for John Gibson.
That's you'd be more in support of Gibson over Hellebuck?
And like everyone's saying, oh, he didn't play good for the past 3 seasons. You know who else hasn't been good for the past 3 seasons? The Anaheim Ducks.
It's very true. It could just be maybe he was in the wrong setting. Maybe a team, a good team will do wonders for him. And I do feel like it's got to be tough to play every night knowing you're going to get rocked and
they don't
not have much help in front of you. So
literally the worst defense in the league, too. You have to play with John Klingberg, then you're going to have some breakaways on you.
Oh, a lot of breakaways. So I think, that pretty much wraps up all the discussion points that we wanted to hit. Thank you very much for watching episode 2. We might be covering the draft here at some point for episode 3. Who knows what we'll have in the works, but definitely keep an eye out for future episodes. It's been fun. We'll stay in touch. Peace.
Bye, Devils Nation.